today we want to discuss in our episode of where we talk about swimming. So we let's talk swimming, and this time it would be our tools. It's also one thing. We all swim with tools, and there is no lie. I have never seen a coach which did all his practicing with his team without tools. Maybe you know of one. I don't. What I mean with tools is paddles, pool buoy, fins, small fins, long fins, rubber band, whatever. Like
the question I get asked a lot is like, what is appropriate of a lot of those things for certain ages, and then like how much should you use whatever the size is like during practice.
Mm-hmm. Like for the fins, it's different than for the paddles. So for the fins, the long fins and the short fins have two different meaning, or how I learned it, how I use it. So the long fins make me get in a simulation to know how to swim with a certain speed, and so to see how my technique adapts to something which I do on a competition ultimately, or when I do it, and I can learn how to adapt to the faster speed. But also it has the with speed usually comes power. You need a lot more physics, and it's also more exhausting with long or with these fins. And you also can train certain things like kick for longer, like get these 50 meters in, which is a bit harder without fins. And the short fins there, in my view, is more about the kicks as such. It needs a lot more movement in it. I always didn't like. I never. Can I say it here? I always hated the short ones because I have big feet. So it actually gives me the advantage of big feet away. It takes it away, and the long fin works. So I never really liked them. But everyone who took short fins in. Short fins is actually very hard. It's not easier. It doesn't make it easier. So how like, and the pedals is a different topic because there it depends on your fitness. The bigger, like more seasoned or more experienced swimmers will use rather bigger pedals because they can also sustain it. Otherwise, they have shoulder problems. And when you start off, you would start off with small ones, which is different to the fins. I mean.
I have a blog that I wrote for paddles and then also for fins, and what I did was kind of like what we're talking about, I categorized based off of the size and then also where I feel like on ages. And so I do know for the fins we always start long and then we progress into shorter ones, but the shorter ones, even depending on the style, some of them are really hard to move, and that's just to like improve your endurance and then also like strengthen your legs. And then you've got like really flimsy shorter ones, which come from more of like a body surfing background, which those are like kind of what the high end senior kids would use. So it's like long, short, like zoomer kind of things that they're not really helpful, but they make you kick more. And then there's like the medium sized ones that we would progress people through. But from what I've seen with a bunch of coaching teams, it's not always that easy to have people have 3 sets of fins as they progress through. So you might have someone who has long fins like their whole career, and again, someone who has short fins that don't do anything. So it's the playing field in practice kind of can be very variable with fins, which can make it really hard for some of the kids, because it's like, if you have long fins on and you already have long feet, like there's no way that me with short fins could even stay up with you, right? No. But if I have on and you have short fins on, I might be able to give you a run for your money, like.
That's a good point actually, and I like also what you said about in the fins you actually start with the longer ones when you're young, and also when and then move towards the shorter ones. I mean, I started off, we had long fins. They needed to have a certain loose, like the rubber ones, which from Speedo has some good ones, or Finis has good ones, which are just rubber. There is also the diving ones, which are more fixed or more less wobbly, and we always had the ones which are very, very, like just the rubber ones, which move fast, and the big ones, and then you translate towards the other ones. So the older I got, we also had a second pair of short fins. So I like what you said there. And yes, I also like the one where you said, you give me the short fins and you take the long one, and you're going to run for the money. And it actually is like that, where you then actually can challenge each other and do it. Now, I usually also use the fins as for people to start out, and this is actually because a lot of people, we had it once in another call about the runners or the cyclists which come to the swimming or go to the triathlon, want to do triathlon and want to improve their swimming, is fins can help, but not the short ones, because loads of these triathletes come with the short ones to the pool and think, well, I got some fins, and they are small and handy. No, guys, forget about it. Take the long ones, which are wobbly, and start off like the youngsters. And actually, that is the drill, because it will help you to imitate.
Yeah. Well, and I do think for people like a triathlete who's newer to swimming, that makes sense, because it also gives them some help from their legs, where like if they don't have like a foundation of kick and they've done a ton of running, they're just dragging, and a lot of times they don't float well, and so it does help just body balance and being able to focus on other things and get some speed. They can feel like the reaction of the fin helping them. So yeah, with master swimmers, there's always like that fine line of like, how much should you use fins? Like, because people always err on a lot of fins because it feels good, right? But you're losing out on, like in our kick discussion, of like the fitness aspect, having a better kick and all that. So I do think there's a balance if you're still trying to compete on how much you should rely on them. But from a technique perspective, I love using fins. I use fins with a ton of my clients because it just takes the feet out, gets them on the surface. They can focus on their pole. You can really just engage with them well.
Just to I actually spot on there. Just what I want to point out also, that for people who are listening, so the long fins are designed to help you to learn how to work your technique with speed, and also give you a sense of how the kick should look like, because you can't do a straight, like you can't kick out of your knees with fins. They won't work. So you need to do the whip movement so you get it. The amplitude might be not as quick, and it's not the goal to be like, you can with power you can do everything, but it should be more the movement of it and getting the speed. The short fins are for the speed of the kick itself, because if you just drag it behind you and just kick once or twice when you feel like it, that is not the goal with the short fins. The goal is with a short fin to have a fast kick, to kick very fast, and only then you unlock the power of that fin actually. And this is but most of these the older ones, or the triathletes, they never really get to unlock that speed, because if you ask a swimmer and he says, well, small fins are easy, they will always say, no, I'm super tired afterwards. It might be like, I'm bummed out, like I'm bam. And that is a misconception which I have. And I think just wanted to clarify this.